There's a quiet decision shaping your entire life right now, one you're probably not even aware you're making. It's not about what career to pursue, who to date, or where to live. It's far more subtle and infinitely more powerful. You're deciding moment by moment which version of reality you'll participate in. And that decision isn't made with your logic or goals. It's made with your energy. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to glide into synchronicity, while others struggle against invisible tides no matter how hard they try? The truth is, life isn't rewarding effort. It's responding to frequency. And if your frequency is stuck on survival, anxiety, or scarcity, no amount of hustle will move the needle. You can't think your way into a new timeline. You have to become the person who naturally lives there. If you're new here, now's a good time to hit that subscribe button. Not because it's trendy, but because you've already started opening doors inside yourself. And this space is built to help you walk through them with clarity, purpose, and deep alignment. Every thought you think and every emotion you allow doesn't just color your day. It programs your field. Your frequency doesn't lie. You may affirm success, but if your nervous system is still bracing for disappointment, the signal is fragmented. And in a vibrational universe, coherence is everything. Scattered frequencies lead to scattered outcomes. Let's be honest. Most of us were taught to chase results. Get the job, the house, the partner, and then feel secure. But what if reality doesn't work that way? What if the outer world isn't the engine? It's the echo. You don't create security by stacking achievements. You summon it by radiating the frequency of safety long before you're handed proof. This may sound abstract until you realize your body is a frequency generator, not just a passive observer. Your breath, your posture, the rhythm of your thoughts, they're not background noise. They're broadcasting your timeline selection. Imagine your life as a radio, and right now you're tuned to a specific station. That station is delivering every scene you experience. So what's broadcasting beneath the surface of your affirmations? Is it trust or tension? Openness or old wounds? Every time you say, "I am ready," but flinch inside, you confuse the field. The quantum doesn't understand your words. It feels your core vibration. And most of what's being broadcast comes from the unconscious. Think about how often you've sabotaged a breakthrough because it felt unfamiliar. That's not weakness. It's pattern protection. Your system is wired to choose what's predictable over what's possible. It's not fear of failure that holds most people back. It's fear of not recognizing themselves in success. It's the discomfort of evolution. The real question isn't, how do I change my life? It's, why does the version of me I dream of still feel like a stranger? If you can't recognize yourself in your vision, your field won't either. The quantum responds to identity, not imagination. So who are you being when no one's watching? That's your true manifestation practice. There's a hidden gravity pulling you back into the familiar, and it often wears the disguise of logic. Be realistic, it says. What if it doesn't work? But here's the thing, what if it does? What if your entire life could pivot on one internal shift? The kind that isn't loud or dramatic, but steady and rooted in self-permission. Most people think their limitations are facts. I'm just not that confident. I've always had bad luck. But those aren't truths, they're timelines. And you're feeding them with every repetition. The more you affirm the old story, the more stable that timeline becomes. The field doesn't care if it's joyful or painful. It only mirrors consistency. Ask yourself, where are you still aligning with a version of you that no longer feels true? Is it in your habits, your relationships, your excuses? If you're honest, you'll notice how often you're choosing out of familiarity, not intention. And in quantum terms, intention is everything. It's not a wish, it's a frequency decision. Imagine standing in a hallway with infinite doors. Each door leads to a different version of your life. Most people keep staring at one door, hoping it will change. But change doesn't happen when the door opens. It happens when you move toward another one. And that movement starts inside. You don't need to know the full path. You only need to change the frequency of your next step. The field is intelligent, it fills in the rest. The moment you align, resources appear, connections align, and synchronicities accelerate. But not because you're lucky, because you stopped fighting for the timeline you were secretly trying to leave. Now ask yourself this: what part of your identity is ready to be retired? Is it the part that doubts your worth? The one that over-prepares out of fear? Or the version of you that's so used to struggle, peace feels suspicious? Sit with that. Breathe into it. Because shifting timelines starts with shedding masks. You don't need to earn alignment. You need to remember it. Strip away what isn't you, and what remains is the signature of the new timeline. It's not louder, it's clearer. It's not more forceful, it's more coherent. And coherence is what bends reality. So many people chase the quantum as if it's a vending machine. Insert desire, wait for result. But the field isn't mechanical. It's relational. It's listening to your full system, not your wish list. You're not here to force outcomes. You're here to harmonize with them. Let's be real, alignment can feel boring at first. Why? Because chaos is familiar. Drama is stimulating. But true power is quiet, grounded, and consistent. It doesn't need to prove itself, it simply creates. And once you taste that level of inner congruence, you'll never trade it for emotional turbulence again. You are not here to negotiate with the old version of yourself. You're here to evolve beyond it, not by condemning it, but by outgrowing it. Every emotion you integrate, every belief you rewrite, every action you elevate sends a new signal into the field. And the field always responds. So the next time you feel stuck, remember, it's not a life problem. It's a signal issue. You don't need to fix everything. You just need to tune differently. Because the life you desire isn't waiting to be built. It's waiting to be matched. You weren't born with hesitation. That came later. It was layered onto you by a world that taught you caution, survival, and self-doubt. Your essence knew how to leap, to trust, to vibrate with possibility. But layer by layer, conditioning replaced instinct, and the nervous system started calling fear wisdom. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Most people try to reprogram their reality from the neck up, thinking mindset is the master key. But the truth is, your nervous system makes the final decision. If your body doesn't feel safe, your field won't shift, no matter how beautiful your vision board looks. Changing your frequency isn't about thinking positively, it's about regulating your system. A calm body sends a coherent signal. A dysregulated body broadcasts static. You might be saying, I believe. But if your breath is shallow and your shoulders tense, the quantum hears uncertainty. There's a reason affirmations sometimes feel like lies. Because your body hasn't caught up. It's still bracing for betrayal, failure, or rejection. And until you acknowledge those stored frequencies, you're just stacking new intentions on top of old wounds. That's not manifesting, that's emotional bypass. Start by asking, what is my body expecting right now? Is it scanning for danger, or is it open to miracles? You can't fake that. You can't force yourself into safety. But you can gently retrain your system. It starts with presence. Noticing your own default vibration. That moment when your chest tightens before you open an email, that's a broadcast. The pause before you say yes, while your gut screams, no, another broadcast. You're constantly signaling, even in silence. And the field is listening attentively, consistently, without judgment. Let's debunk a myth here. Healing isn't about fixing yourself. It's about removing interference. The real you, coherent, whole, magnetic, has always been there. But trauma clouds the channel. Conditioning blocks the signal. Healing clears the noise so your frequency can finally be heard. Many of us are addicted to stress without realizing it. Calm feels boring. Peace feels suspicious. Joy feels unearned. That's not intuition, it's imprint. When your baseline is anxiety, anything outside of it feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliarity triggers resistance. even when it's good for you. Your nervous system doesn't care about your goals. It cares about safety. It doesn't ask, is this aligned? It asks, is this familiar? This is why you can know what you want but still sabotage it. Because your system is designed to protect the status quo, not your potential. But here's the power. Safety is trainable. You can teach your body that peace is normal, that receiving is allowed, that expansion doesn't mean abandonment. You can breathe your way into new timelines. Slowly, deliberately, gently. The quantum responds to coherence, not speed. Want to know a secret? Most quantum shifts don't feel magical at first. They feel awkward, vulnerable, quiet, like you're standing on a cliff with no map, just a whisper that says, trust. And that whisper is enough. If you let it guide your next breath, your next thought, your next choice. Let's go deeper. That recurring conflict in your life is not random. It's your system trying to complete an emotional cycle. Every repetition is an invitation to respond differently, to choose regulation over reaction, to shift the broadcast in real time. One of the most powerful things you can do is sit with your triggers without obeying them, to let the surge rise and still choose presence. That's how you become sovereign over your signal. That's how timelines bend, when your internal world stops reacting like it used to. So when you catch yourself spiraling into the same loop, pause, breathe, don't analyze, just observe. Feel the pull of the old frequency and gently return to the new one. That's mastery, not perfection, not pretending, but coming back again and again. Repetition rewires reality. Not just what you do, but how you feel as you do it. If brushing your teeth with presence can shift your vibration, imagine what's possible when you start your day by tuning into trust. It doesn't have to be grand, it has to be real. You don't become magnetic by forcing outcomes. You become magnetic by embodying safety, by being so rooted in your truth that the field orients around you. That's not arrogance. That's resonance. And resonance is how you collapse probabilities into presence. Still think you need more tools? More books? More techniques? Maybe. Or maybe you need to trust that your body already knows the way. The breath is a portal. Stillness is a signal. And silence, if you listen deeply enough, will teach you everything about your current timeline. So before chasing another quantum hack, ask yourself, have I learned how to listen to my system? To soothe it? To honor it? Because if your body is bracing, your field is echoing that bracing. And no timeline can stabilize in that kind of static. This is where true power lives, not in knowing more, but in feeling safer being you. All of you, even the parts you've hidden or hardened, because they too are vibrations. And when integrated, they become part of your magnetism, not your resistance. Now take a breath. Really, right now. Deep, conscious, intentional. You've just shifted your signal. And in doing that, you've already nudged a new timeline into reach. It's that subtle, that real, that accessible. The field is listening. What do you want it to hear? Let's dismantle one of the biggest misconceptions. That you need external proof before you shift internally. That's like waiting for a mirror to smile before you do. The quantum field doesn't respond to your need for evidence. It responds to the signal you emit when you stop needing it. When you embody the outcome before it arrives, you become the magnet. But that's hard, right? Because we've been conditioned to believe in I'll believe it when I see it. Yet quantum reality flips that on its head. You'll see it when you believe it. Not as a blind faith, but as a practiced frequency. And belief isn't just thought. It's breath, behavior, expectation, posture. It's the whole you. This is why results feel delayed, because the field is waiting for your full system to agree with your words. You can't trick coherence. You either are aligned or you're not. But the good news? The moment you are, reality starts catching up fast. Not because you forced it, but because you matched it. Let's bring this into something tangible. Think of a moment when you felt truly safe, grounded, unshakable. In that state, decisions flowed. Conversations opened. You became magnetic without effort. That wasn't luck. That was alignment. And alignment isn't mystical, it's repeatable. Here's what most people miss. Embodiment is not a reward for results. It's the prerequisite. You don't become wealthy and then feel secure. You feel secure and that signal starts attracting wealth. Same with love. Same with purpose. You become the cause, not the effect. But we're so used to performance that embodiment feels weird. If I act as if I already have it, isn't that pretending? No, pretending is acting without alignment. Embodiment is becoming the frequency before the feedback. That's not fake. It's foundational. Your desired timeline is allergic to contradiction. You can't embody trust and still hold on to control. You can't radiate love while armoring your heart. You can't call in abundance while resenting every bill. These aren't minor conflicts, they're vibrational fractures. And fractures weaken manifestation. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be honest. What's your dominant signal right now? Not the one you say, but the one you live. That's the frequency collapsing your current reality. And if you want a different result, you have to shift the broadcaster, not just the broadcast. Sometimes the smallest emotional shift is the loudest quantum signal. Choosing to breathe instead of brace. Choosing curiosity instead of control. Choosing to soften when the old version of you wants to shut down. These micro shifts echo through the field far louder than forced action. That's why timing isn't about calendars. It's about coherence. Things don't show up when you're ready on paper. They show up when your frequency becomes undeniable. When your energy speaks so clearly that the field has no choice but to reflect the new timeline. And here's the twist. The more you embody, the less attached you are. Not because you don't care, but because you trust. Embodiment births detachment. You no longer chase. You no longer plead. You simply radiate. And in that radiance, timelines start bending. Still waiting for the sign to start living differently? This is it. Not because the universe gave you permission, but because you did. That inner yes, the one that says, enough waiting, is more powerful than any synchronicity. Because it's the frequency shift that makes synchronicities inevitable. What would happen if, just for today, you stopped waiting to feel like the future version of you? If you moved, spoke, and chose like you already are them, you'd disrupt the loop. You'd break the broadcast. You'd start collapsing timelines in real time. Embodiment isn't about pretending you don't have fear. It's about choosing alignment anyway. That's the difference between fantasy and frequency. Fantasy waits. Frequency lives it now. You don't get pulled into the new timeline by daydreaming. You step into it through consistent signal. Want an experiment? Try treating one ordinary task today, making coffee, answering an email, walking into a room, as the version of you from your highest timeline. How does your body shift? What choices become obvious? This is the practice. Not grand, not dramatic, but real. And here's the paradox most people miss. When you no longer need reality to prove anything, it starts proving everything. The moment you stop reaching, things start arriving. Because you're no longer vibrating from lack. You're broadcasting from truth. That's embodiment. If the field is a mirror, stop yelling affirmations at it hoping it will change. Change the face you're bringing to the mirror. Bring coherence. Bring presence. Bring the full version of you, not the one that's begging, but the one that's already home. Now pause. Breathe. Feel your own energy field. Not your thoughts, your state. Is it open? Is it grounded? Is it ready? Or is it rehearsing old patterns, old protections, old stories? You don't need to judge it. Just witness it. Because awareness is the first frequency shift. We've covered a lot, and maybe something inside you is already shifting. If it is, stay with it. Don't rush to the next video or next technique. Sit with what's emerging. And if a part of you just whispered, yes, then let's do something different. Backhand index pointing down, drop a single word in the comments that describes the energy you're ready to embody. It could be clarity, Trust, courage, softness, whatever resonates. Your word becomes your signal. And if this is stirring something real in you, hit that subscribe button. Not for me, but to keep walking this path together. Most people don't realize they're trying to control the quantum field with logic. They build careful plans, set deadlines, calculate probabilities, believing that strategy equals safety. But the quantum isn't a business model. It's an energy language. And logic, while useful, is not the dominant translator. Vibration is. Your field responds to what you radiate, not what you rationalize. You can be incredibly smart and still energetically stuck. Because the field doesn't care if your idea makes sense. It cares if your system is broadcasting a coherent yes. And most yes are still tangled in unhealed no's. That's where the real inner work begins, not in doing more, but in subtracting distortion. You can't align with abundance while distrusting joy. You can't align with freedom while fearing expansion. Every emotional contradiction sends a mixed signal. And mixed signals don't collapse new timelines, they reinforce old ones. Here's a deeper truth. Control is often a trauma response. It's how your system tries to predict pain before it happens. But frequency doesn't bend to fear, it bends to trust. And trust is not passive. It's an active, embodied decision to stay open when every part of you wants to close. This is where most people freeze. But if I let go of control, won't everything fall apart? No. What falls apart is the illusion that control was ever creating safety. When you release control, you create space for coherence. And in that space, the field starts reorganizing around your truth. Surrender isn't giving up. It's giving in to your own alignment. It's choosing presence over planning. It's trusting that the version of you who's already thriving doesn't need a map, just a signal. And that signal is trust, not tension. Stillness, not stress. Magnetism, not micromanagement. You can't embody a new timeline while clinging to the behaviors of the old one. That includes overthinking. That includes second-guessing. That includes the addiction to fixing what was never broken. You're not here to tweak your old self. You're here to transcend it. Let's talk about emotional posture. Not physical posture, but vibrational stance. Are you standing in curiosity or contraction? Are you meeting life with openness or suspicion? The field notices. Every micro-response is data, and the quantum listens more to how you feel than what you say. There's a big difference between, I hope it works, and I know it's done. Hope has value, but it's not the frequency of embodiment. Embodiment is certainty, not because of guarantees, but because of resonance. Because your system no longer questions if it prepares for when. And here's the quiet superpower, neutrality. When you stop needing a specific outcome, not out of apathy but alignment, you become unstoppable. Because neutrality signals readiness. It says, I'm whole with or without the outcome. And wholeness is irresistible to the field. The universe doesn't need you to be impressive. It needs you to be clear. Most people are broadcasting 10 different signals at once. Desiring, doubting, forcing, fearing, performing. But coherence is singular. It's focused. It's clean. And that's what opens timelines, not noise. You're allowed to want more. Desire is not the problem. Attachment is. When desire becomes desperate, it clogs the frequency. But when desire is paired with clarity and trust, it becomes a beacon. A lighthouse signal to your future self. I'm ready to meet you. The field is constantly asking, who are you now? Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. Because now is the only moment timelines shift. The future is not ahead of you, it's orbiting you, and your current vibration decides what lands and what drifts. So how do you shift in the now? You pause, you breathe, you choose, you feel, not with effort but with presence. You allow the old narrative to rise, and you respond differently. That one shift, that moment of sovereignty, is how entire lives are rewritten. Ever notice how time warps when you're fully present? That's not poetic, that's quantum. Presence compresses possibility into experience. When you stop projecting, when you stop rehearsing pain, you pull the best version of reality closer. Because you're no longer vibrating through delay. Let's bring this into practice. The next time you feel stuck, don't ask, "What do I do?" Ask, "Who am I being?" That question cuts through chaos. It bypasses mental gymnastics, because the version of you who lives the timeline you crave isn't confused. They're clear. You'll know you're shifting when ordinary moments feel different. When the silence between actions becomes peaceful instead of anxious. When you no longer brace before opening emails. When your heart leads conversations, not your armor. That's the texture of a new timeline. Stop thinking your transformation needs to be dramatic. The quantum doesn't care about theatrics. Cares about authenticity. A soft breath, a vulnerable share, a surrendered thought, these are seismic in the field. They're the ripples that collapse realities in your favor. So if life feels loud, come back to your signal. Come back to the version of you that isn't trying to be perfect, just present. Every time you do that, the noise fades, and the path, once invisible, becomes undeniable. Now it's your turn. What belief, story, or habit are you willing to retire today, not forever, just for now? Share it below. Your honesty isn't just a comment. It's a ripple. Let's build a space where every word typed is a frequency shift. And if this journey is waking something in you, hit that subscribe and keep vibrating with us. There's a difference between knowing about transformation and living it, between understanding frequencies and becoming one. Information can ignite you, but only embodiment will sustain you. Too many people collect insights like souvenirs but never walk the path. And the truth is, the shift only sticks when it becomes a lifestyle. This isn't about rituals, it's about rhythm. Not how perfectly you meditate, visualize, or journal, but how consistently you return to alignment. You don't need to be high vibe 24/7. You need to know how to come home to your center when life pulls you away. That's spiritual maturity. That's quantum mastery. The field doesn't reward intensity. It reflects stability. That moment you catch an old habit rising and respond with gentleness instead of guilt, that's the shift. When you choose gratitude instead of grasping, presence instead of pressure, realignment instead of reaction, that's the new signal. Most people don't need more motivation. They need a nervous system that feels safe being expansive. One that doesn't collapse when things get still, or reject peace because it feels foreign. That safety is cultivated through repetition, through microtrust, through showing up for yourself again and again. You won't always feel it happening. Some shifts arrive in silence. They integrate while you sleep, while you breathe, while you love without armor. Don't wait for fireworks. Watch for softness, for ease where there used to be tension. That's how timelines change, quietly, deeply, permanently. You're not here to prove your worth through hustle. You're here to prove nothing because your frequency already speaks volumes. Walk into a room with coherence, and the whole dynamic changes. Not because you said the right thing, but because your energy is undeniable. That's real power. Ask yourself, are you still trying to earn the life you desire? Or are you starting to realize you only need to align with it? There's a version of you that doesn't chase, just chooses, who doesn't explain, just embodies. That version isn't in the future. They're vibrating now, waiting for you to tune in. Let's get practical. Start your day not with pressure, but with presence. 1 minute of breathing with intention. One decision made from alignment, not anxiety. One conversation that honors your truth. These are the frequencies that shape your field. Not someday, today. You'll be tempted to slip back. That's part of the path. The real question isn't, did I fall? It's how quickly did I return? Your bounce back rate is a quantum skill. It's a sign your signal is stabilizing. And stability is what keeps the new timeline anchored. Let your environment support you. Use music, scents, colors, and movement to remind your system of your chosen frequency. Let your space speak coherence. Let your routines be sacred not because they're fancy, but because they're aligned. Every detail matters when you're reprogramming your field. Surround yourself with voices that reinforce the shift. Read words that nourish. Listen to messages that challenge the loop. Community is a frequency amplifier. Don't walk this alone. Let this space be your frequency family, a place where growth is the baseline and expansion is the norm. Gratitude is your stabilizer. Not just when things go right, but especially when they don't. Gratitude says, even this is part of the shift. Even the delay, the discomfort, the detour. It's all energy waiting to be alchemized. Gratitude is the frequency of integration. Now ask, what if this wasn't a phase, but a foundation? What if living in alignment wasn't the exception, but your new default? You don't have to dip in and out of your power. You can dwell there, walk there, build there, and from that place, create timelines worth living. Pause and really see yourself, not as you've been, but as you are becoming. Can you feel it? That subtle strength rising in your field? That whisper that says, we're here now. Let that voice grow louder than the noise. Let it guide your choices, your breath, your next moment. Remember, you don't need permission to change. You are the permission. Every new signal you choose is a declaration. This is who I am now. And the universe echoes back, I believe you, not because of what you say, but because of how you vibrate. Keep choosing it. Keep becoming it. Don't wait for someone else to validate your new identity. Validate it yourself. Walk like it, speak like it, rest like it, not to prove but to embody. Because every act aligned with your desired self is a vote for the timeline you're calling in. Make your life a ballot box for your own evolution. This is your quantum moment, not dramatic, but deliberate. Not magical, but real. And every time you remember your power, you amplify it. So let this be your anchor. Small shifts matter. Coherence multiplies. And you are never too late to become everything you were meant to be. Before we close, I want to say something from the heart. This isn't just a video. It's a space. A living, breathing container for awakening. If this stirred something in you, let it move you. Take one small action today that belongs to your new timeline. And know we're here walking with you. Glowing star, if this content opens something inside you, join this frequency family by hitting that subscribe. Not for the algorithm, for your evolution. Comment below. What shift did this awaken in you? What truth are you finally ready to embody? Share your story, your breakthrough, your energy. Let this community become your mirror, your reminder, your ripple. And as we keep growing together, remember, you're not just shifting timelines. You are the timeline. Thank you for showing up. Keep rising. Keep returning. Keep surprising yourself. We're just getting started.